I like starting off with a weird face.
All right.
Because then it does the screenshot. And
yeah, that's right.
And it's always me with the silly face, and I just...
It works. Hold on. I got to make sure
why
to
not?
always put the cursor right on Cody's face.
Oh, that annoys me.
Wait, what is that?
Nope. Stop.
Okay, everybody, welcome to Friday Live with the RV Small Talk podcast team, minus PJ plus Cody. So still three. We're still a tripod, a trifecta, if you will.
If you will.
If you will.
And you will.
I digress.
That
It
cursor
is.
on his face.
Oh, sorry. This cursor on his face?
Stop.
Okay. I digress. Wherever you're joining us from, we hope that you're on your way to a beautiful weekend. It is Friday, so whatever your plans are, we hope that they are going to turn out wonderful for you. I think it's going to rain here, but rain is a good thing.
It's a good thing.
So we'll take it. If you are watching, comment who you are, where you are, and whatnot.
Who are you? Where are you?
I'm going to put the cursor on his face.
Oh, man.
So, if you have questions
Usually
for
it's my face.
technical purposes, we brought Cody in. You've met Cody before. He's been on the podcast, RV Small Talk podcast, several times. And if you have just goofy questions, that's Lindsay's department. And if you have brilliant questions that no one can answer, I'll read them.
We don't have anybody for that.
I'll definitely read them. Yep. Eli is in Tampa.
Ooh, I want to be in Tampa.
Angela is in Howdy.
Hi, Howdy.
How's Howdy today?
Angela's in Texas somewhere. When's your next trip, Angela? What you got planned with that Terra?
So here's the thing. When I do travel, and like I did last weekend with my Intech, I love looking out for other Intechs or for any of our customers that we may know. Mm-hmm. Angela and Max, they have that Terra, and they come to our Texas Tiny Trailer Rally. But one time I ran into them at a gas station on the way back from a camping trip.
Why is that so fun?
It's so fun. And on my way back from camping this past weekend, I didn't know the guy. I pulled up right next to him. He was driving a Mercedes SUV, pulling a Soul Dawn, and I looked and I didn't recognize him. But I was right next.
Did you talk to him?
No, because we're driving on the highway on I-35.
You didn't flag him to pull over?
No, because it was the section of I-35 by New Braunfels where all the construction is. It's a little
it's
hair-raising.
terrifying.
But I pulled up right next to him, and then to say, hey, I have an Intech too, even though mine's a Flyer, I slowly edged ahead of him. So he'd be like, that's another Intech. You know, it's just this is the little things.
That almost sounded like you were trying to race him.
Yeah,
I'm just going to say.
Houston.
Margaret's in
Hello,
Houston.
Margaret from
Hey.
Houston.
Next trip to Galveston, yes.
Galveston Island State Park for spring break.
Love it. Camp private land in Blanco, and
Yep.
everything goes dead. Yes.
Which is why we need the rain.
Okay, so since we have Cody here and we pulled him off of whatever Cody does, if you have any questions that a certified RV technician would be able to help you with, please direct them at Cody in the comments below.
So we're doing a general Q&A today. We're going to try to do this once a month for you guys.
Hey, John.
Free tech help, free... if you forgot the name of a song, he
Free
can
waste of
probably help
time.
you.
I am a free waste of time.
Any camping questions, trailer questions, manufacturer questions, inventory questions, we're here to help today because it's Friday.
Cody, I do have a question to kick this off because
Yes.
this has been on my mind. Why some propane tanks you can store upright but not on their side? And why I don't understand the side storage and the upright storage.
I got this one.
Oh, go for it, Lindsay.
Some of them are just tired.
Oh. Oh, man.
I made PJ laugh off camera.
That's
All right, Cody, the real answer.
the real answer. It has to do with where the fluid is in the tank or in the cylinder. When you lay a regular 20-pound cylinder on its side, that allows the actual fluid in the cylinder to enter what we call the vapor area.
Dun, dun, dun.
And so they have overpressure valves on them. So if you If that overpressure valve opens to relieve pressure, if you have fluid there, it's going to be a much larger propane cloud because of the expansion rate of the fluid versus the vapor. So we would prefer the vapor to be.
It'll be a more
top.
substantial release.
Yeah, much and much deadlier because the actual fluid expands some ginormous amount.
How do they do the tanks differently for the ones that lay on their side? Because there are tanks that are designed to lay on their side.
Right. So when they lay them on their side, that valve is offset to the top of the cylinder where it's laid on its side. So then where your actual, what they call the dip tube is located is still considered in the vapor space versus the liquid space.
So if you have an RV, don't just randomly say, I'm relocating it and laying it on a side. Get the right tank. Is that right?
Correct. And the most, usually when people get in the most trouble is when they're transporting those cylinders to get them refilled.
Oh, yeah.
They throw them in the trunk. They throw them in the back seat. They don't worry about how they're secured. They have to be secured, and they need to be secured in the proper position.
Wait. When they're already empty, they still have to be upright?
Even when they're empty, because there could still be some.
I've been doing that wrong. I've been just figuring if they're empty, they're empty.
You didn't worry about the vapor space?
Not at all. And I breathe deeply
What about
the whole
the dip
Once
tube?
a cylinder is filled, it is never considered empty ever again. Ever.
Because
Once the
residual.
cylinder is filled,
Residual.
it's never considered empty.
Once it is filled, it is never considered.
I'm going to use
empty.
that as like a mantra for my life,
Okay. You do that.
Yeah.
My energy is never fully gone.
Okay.
It's
Perfect.
there.
There's always residual energy.
I just have to stand up.
All right. Oh, having a tech on Fridays is a brilliant idea. We agree. Because
Sometimes
they
we have
know
good
things.
ideas.
They know
Sometimes.
things.
And it won't be every Friday. We're going to try to do it once a month because if we took a tech away every Friday, they would be really angry and his face would not be so happy.
And techs aren't generally known for being anything but grumpy. So we try to catch them in an off mode, and so we just
because I don't like physically tech anymore. I'm not part of
That's
that grumpy
right.
crowd. Is that what you're saying?
we just replaced our anode rod for the first after 1.5 years is pretty much completely disintegrated. How often should checking replace?
Be checking it or
Yeah.
replacing it. So
I think
ideally,
Texas hard water.
Yeah,
makes a
Texas hard
difference.
water, right? It's going to kill them pretty quick. I'm full time in mine. I check it about every 6 months. And really, if you are using your camper, you go out for a weekend every 3 or 4 weeks or something. My recommendation would be that you're pulling that anode rod when you get back to storage or before you leave campground or whenever, and actually draining your water heater. So it's fresh every time you fill it up, so no stagnated water. You're also not wasting that anode rod while it's just sitting in storage.
So if you're not...
So you can really
Yeah.
extend the life of your
Okay.
anode if you actually drain your water heater after camping.
And you'll see it every time you drain it anyway.
you'll
So
see
it'll be
it
on
every
top
time,
of it.
right.
You'll have a good
Yep.
idea.
Yep. So an anode rod, it's got basically a steel rod that runs through the middle of it. It's very skinny. Typically, when you see about 50% of that steel rod, then I would probably look at replacing it.
Okay. Margaret has kind of a follow-up on the tanks,
Mm-hmm.
the propane tanks. We just discovered that our tanks were expired. How does
Yeah.
it expire?
Yeah, so LP cylinders have a 10-year life on them. After 10 years, they have to be recertified, and it's really pretty simple. The process, finding a place to do it can be difficult.
Do we do it here?
We don't.
Oh, don't bring it to us.
Yeah, don't bring it to us. We don't recertify. Really, it's just a visual inspection. Make sure the cylinder has no leaks. Make sure there's no major rust, dents, damage, anything like that would cause for concern. They slap a new sticker on it that tells the date it was recertified with a recertification number, and it's good for 5 years. It's been a minute since I sat through that class. I think it's either 5 years or 7 years.
Is this one of those things where that's the time you take it to your corner store and just
Yeah, so if you have a
trade it?
standard 20-pound propane cylinder,
Uh-huh.
I would go exchange it at a exchange place and just get another one.
Right. And then after that, whenever you can, refill it at a place like ours.
Yeah,
Because
refill it for a while.
I've
and-
heard that whenever you refill them at a place like ours, you reliably actually get more bang for your buck.
Typically, right? So we're going to actually fill to the 80% volume level based on weight, and which can vary throughout the year because of temperatures. But Some I've heard of some exchange cages don't actually fill to a as full a volume for whatever purpose. Don't know.
Okay. All right. Next questions. Anybody have some questions for Cody on techie stuff, or questions for Lindsay on entertaining stuff?
On how to look so good? What was that? What was that? Yes, send in your questions or let us know where you're camping so we can talk to you guys. You just went camping?
I did.
Where'd you go?
I went to, and I always want to say Bandera, but it's not. I went over there by Concan, starts with the G, and I want to say Granger, but it's not Granger.
That's the wrong direction.
No, it's not Giddings.
We fill our propane tanks at Tractor Supply and get a decent price. Good to know, Angela.
I've heard that.
Yep. Tractor Supply fills. There's a lot of places that fill, and it'll vary on price per gallon.
Yeah. I still can't remember the name of the place.
You just went this weekend.
I know, but I can't. I always get them all mixed up.
Battery question.
Oh, you're right.
Lifespan of lead acid battery, AGM, lithium, etc., which will last a while. Our lead acid battery only lasted 1.5 years.
Right.
Let's have that battery talk, Cody.
Battery talk. So lead acid has been the standard for, ever, right? So they don't last as long. They're 1.5 years is probably pretty standard.
Particularly when maintenance.
Particularly with RVs, maintaining them, they go dead pretty regularly while they're in storage. Or
we don't even remember to maintain. I remember growing up in the 80s and 90s, you would check that battery much more often. Now, I just don't check batteries anymore.
Most people don't, so that'll help extend the life. Again, a lead acid battery, once you deplete that lifespan or it goes dead more than past 50%, you've killed that battery. So if it was initially, say, like a 5-year battery, you've now cut that down to a 2.5-year battery just by letting it go below 50% one time is generally the method on it, right? And then if it goes dead below that again, you've just cut that again. So 1.5 years is probably pretty standard. AGM, you're going to actually have the same life expectancy as a regular lead acid. It's just the acid chemistry and everything is suspended in what they call absorbed glass. So it's a non-serviceable battery, so you don't have to check water levels. But really, the life expectancy on an AGM is not going to really be better than a regular wet lead acid battery or flooded. They typically can be more dense, so you can get more amp hours out of them for run time, but you got to look at that stuff as well. So lithium is kind of the hot topic, has been for a couple of years now. Most lithium lifespans are expected anywhere from 10 to 20 years. So they are really the way to go. It's definitely a much larger investment up front.
Yeah, but you get
your return on it. You get your return on it if you're not buying a $150 battery every year, every 2 years.
And you get to deplete it. You're not worried about that 50%.
Yeah,
you get to go ahead
and deplete 80, 90% and really not decrease the life expectancy of the battery.
Right. So if you can take the investment hit up front, it's worthwhile.
Absolutely worth it.
That's what I run in my trailer.
Yep.
What do you run in your rooftop tent?
Nothing right now, but I am looking at different portable power stations, which will be LiFePO 4 batteries that are in them. So it'll be a lithium battery station.
He's got a potato battery.
Potato. Okay, here we go.
Ooh, thank you for the questions. Keep them coming.
Yeah.
My drums are bad.
Are we talking about brake drums? That would be where my mind goes. I just want to make sure.
Are there other drums?
I don't know.
Are we talking about her tympanic membrane? Because she needs an audiologist if it's the tympanic membrane.
All right, let's assume it's
so
brakes.
Really the only way to check brake drums is on a trailer, because chances are you're not going to feel it if they're out around, is to pull them off and do a visual inspection. You're going to look at them for signs of heat, which would be like a bluish color, signs of cracks, which can be very minute, so they may be hard to see. You might be able to see them very obvious. And then the other thing would actually be taking like a micrometer, drum micrometer, and actually checking to see if the drum is out of round.
Wow. So it sounds like not difficult, but even easier if you have someone who knows what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
PJ, make sure you look at the second email I sent before you respond to that one.
All right. Can you charge a lithium battery? I have issues with storing over the winter, and the BMS kicks in, and then no power.
The BMS?
How cold are you storing them?
We have questions.
So, as far as charging lithium, that it's improving as to where your actual temperature ranges for operation and charging are. Most of them that we look at now actually have cold weather disconnects in them, so it won't allow them to charge below a certain temperature, and that's core temperature in the battery. They also, a lot of them have built-in heaters that can turn on and off automatically to keep the battery warm, which I'm thinking maybe is what the BMS that we're talking about here kicks in, turns the heater on. Now that heater consumes the battery so to heat itself, so you do have a decrease in actually how much usable energy you have to run your lights or your water pump or whatever it else is that you're trying to run, because that battery has to heat itself.
Right. So I guess the question is how cold is it getting and staying?
Yeah.
And if you're storing, are you storing with shore power on? Because once it comes up to temperature, to a range that it can charge again, it will recharge what it has used to keep itself warm.
Correct. The other thing that I would do is really, if it's going into storage, I would be disconnected. I wouldn't worry about, unless there's a reason for you to have your batteries on. I would have your batteries disconnected and everything turned off. That way you don't have to worry about that kind of happening. And the shelf life of a lithium battery is 12 months plus, and it should maintain charge no problem.
Okay, so if you're in storage, particularly without shore power, just disconnect.
I would disconnect.
Make sure it's fully charged and disconnect.
Yep.
Okay, what else you got?
Margaret, who was talking about her
The
brakes,
drum
said
brakes.
hers are peeling.
So like
Is
the
that
paint
normal?
on them is peeling. So I've seen that. It could be related to maybe some overheating, but it's not necessarily true. It would just really require some inspection. It could have just been poor adhesion of the powder coating or paint or whatever is on them.
Yeah.
If you're just tuning in, like Taylor Anderson, what's up? Send us any questions you have. We have a tech here that can help you. So,
or if you have a question for Taylor, because he just installed a wood-burning stove in his Intech Flyer Discover.
I have seen that become a growing question across some of the groups that I follow on Facebook. People are like, "What do y'all think about wood-burning stoves?" I mean, that's
Taylor, tell us
interesting.
What you think of yours so far. Christian, you got another one for us. Thank you for sending in your questions. Tankless water heater on a trailer. I have a regular water heater. What are the pros of making that upgrade? Oh, hold on.
Yeah, so the biggest pro of going to a tankless or an on-demand, something like that, is going to be basically unlimited hot water, right? So that thing's going to keep your water hot the entire time it's running. If you have a lot of people there that shower, it's a good, back to back showers. You can roll with it.
My knowledge of kind of what I've seen or heard of in the RV industry is, yes, it's kind of on demand, but it's not perfect. It's like you don't get scalding hot the whole time. It's like it starts off really good, but it still has a little catch up. It's not.
I mean, you got to find the right mix, right? And a lot of them are based on water flow. So if you use like a water conserving shower head, you may have operational issues. But that's going to be your biggest pro there. When they run, they're burning nothing but propane. So you depending on what kind of camping you do, you need to have more propane readily available, because if you're a long shower taker, you're going to burn it up.
Do you have to rinse it out if you camp at the beach where there's salt water?
Anytime you're at the beach, it's always a good idea to rinse anything and everything. I mean, salt in the air, it's if you can get it off and out of your system Absolutely. I mean, just spray everything down with water.
I'm just
rinse
making sure,
everything out with
Christian,
fresh
you're
water.
not actually putting salt water in the water system, right? Because that would not be you.
That doesn't sound okay.
That doesn't.
No.
Mm-mm.
No,
sound okay.
I mean, yeah. All right. Co-host Colby. At a campground, if you're stuck in a high wind storm in a fifth wheel or a trailer, does bringing in the slides or filling the water tank reduce the chances of the trailer tipping over?
Very specific.
Whoa,
That's
what a
very,
question.
Yeah, that's a very
I
specific
feel like
question. And
maybe you went through something traumatic.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I could answer that honestly. I mean, obviously adding the fresh water tank weight down low, I could see how that could help with some low weight, but
bring the slides in, maybe some.
it's going to kind of center the weight in over everything instead of having some of it expanded out. But
I don't know if
think I can accurately answer that question.
I don't think it would hurt, but it might not be the difference between
Yeah, but also
tipping over or not.
What side is the wind hitting your trailer from?
Yeah.
Because if your slide is out on the side that the wind's coming from, then you've added weight to work against.
Yeah,
But if your slide is out on the opposite side, then it's easier to tip.
I've been through some pretty high winds. Like I said, I full time. We've been through some pretty high winds this past year out where we're at, and I've never had a fear of tipping over in our fifth wheel. You know, we've had some 60, 70 mile an hour winds against us.
Yeah, you have out there.
Yeah, and I don't know. I never crossed my mind to add water or anything. I just wasn't concerned about it. So I don't know. I don't know how to answer that one honestly.
Yep.
Favorite camping chair, keeping in mind space. You're in a square drop trailer. Do you want me to show you mine? I'll be right back.
Do you have it?
Grab yours.
It's over here.
So what kind of comfort do you need out of this chair? Because I do like, there's chairs like the Click chair, the CLIQ. I mean, it folds up about the size of this, and you can have several. What Lindsay's bringing in is a family favorite for my family. It's
For sure.
super comfortable, but it's not great for a square drop.
Actually, see, this is why I like this chair, because instead of it folding up like most chairs, like
And going into a bag.
blink,
Yep.
blink, and then it's like this, I really like, you can't see this, but I really like how it's flat, because maybe it doesn't get very small, but because it's flat, it's easy to put like
Maybe stack away or
flat
lay
and
flat
put stuff on top
on
of it, or
if you
put it
need
on
to.
top of stuff. It's not an awkward size,
Okay.
and it gets so like slim, you can just slide it, you know, on top of the bed or behind, you know,
Yep.
whatever.
So
I like this
I don't
one,
know what
and it
features
rocks.
you're looking for, Facebook user, but there are extremes. The Click is very small, but it's not going to offer a whole lot of back support and definitely no cup holder. But that's why you are equipped with 2 cup holders. Okay.
One.
All right. Hey, Sonya.
Hi, Sonya. I'm so glad you're living your best life.
New RVer. Just listening and learning. All right. Listen to Cody and Lindsay.
Hopefully we've got something you can learn from.
Sweet. All right, Taylor, with an update on his wood stove. Okay, Taylor, that's quite
Taylor, chill out.
You're going to cover our faces just by blinking. It's such a comment. Okay.
It's Oh, sorry. Go
ahead.
ahead. It's fantastic. See, I'm more animated than you.
Well, and I think the
true.
range of your voice is about closer to his.
The wood stoves
kidding,
are
kid.
certainly not the end-all heat source in RVs. They should be used in conjunction with another heater. What are you doing to me?
I'm adding it back so other people can read
Oh,
along with
okay.
you.
That can be a vented propane furnace or diesel heater. You're unable to use them on travel days since you need them 100% extinguished when you travel.
Makes sense.
That's where the secondary heater comes into play. It has done a fantastic job drying the air in our trailer, though. No condensation on windows or trim whatsoever, which I know was a
Yeah.
big problem
Yep.
for you guys, was the condensation. So
So what they were using was one of those little Mr. Heater Buddy heaters.
Okay, yeah.
And burning propane is a wet way to heat anything. It introduces more humidity to the air. And I've known that, but in more extreme conditions or when you're running it more often, it can get pretty bad. We ran it to take the edge off at camping, wherever I camped this past weekend. And
The
it did.
G
it
word?
Whatever
totally.
campground starts with a G.
It might be a B. Anyways,
Oh man.
uh,
We'll never know.
what's that state park
can't.
near Concan? Why can't I remember it? I can remember Concan all day.
Gold stars to anybody who can figure out where
Right.
Clint camped because he has no idea.
Good hiking though.
Can you add shock absorbers on our casita travel trailer? Like, is that something we do here?
It might be possible.
Do you see how he
Depends
looked at PJ real quick?
I can tell her head shaking over there. So, like what? It really depends on kind of what you've got there and if they make things that can be added to handle the shock absorber. Typically, whenever they can be added, the trailer or the axle is already prepped to take such a device.
Yeah, you don't actually
so,
want to modify the frame.
Yeah, it depends on if things need to really be modified to do it or not.
It bounces when I run through potholes.
Don't run through potholes.
Walk through potholes.
Walk through potholes.
You have
Tiptoe.
tires. Roll slowly.
Oh man, so much
Slide
sarcasm.
through potholes. All right, keep them coming with the questions. I love this. Is winterizing the hot water heater a bad idea? I have an RV tech out recently, and he recommended not doing it. He mentioned RV antifreeze might build up in the bottom of the hot water heater. That's why we bypass those things, right?
Yeah, so your standard water heater, your standard 6-gallon, 10-gallon tanked water heater, you should be able to bypass and not winterize it. It's a waste of antifreeze. You drain the water out of it.
Drain the water.
There should be no concern with freeze damage to a water heater at that point. So typically with a standard water heater, it's not recommended to run antifreeze through it.
And plus you're just buying more antifreeze on
that's
something
the first
that's not
place
likely.
it's going to go. So it's going to require 6 gallons just to fill a standard water heater for most of our clients. And then you still have another gallon or two to get through the rest of the system. So it's a total waste of your money.
So completely drain the system, bypass the water heater, and introduce the antifreeze just to the components that run throughout your trailer, faucets, the toilet, and stuff like that. But
Outside shower.
Right.
Don't forget that
Low
outside
points,
shower.
Low points. Drain those off till they have antifreeze come through them.
Blowing out the water lines and adding antifreeze to black and gray tanks is best. Well, I don't know if I'd add it to the black and gray tanks.
It's going to get down there when you do it. You know, if you've drained everything down, once you blow out the lines and then inject your antifreeze, as you're running your faucets and your toilet and all that antifreeze is going to go to the tanks anyway.
Yep.
So.
And again, we're talking about a big, maybe a 30-gallon tank, and if you've drained it out, at least any ice would have enough room to expand and not actually harm the tanks. It's those tighter, smaller areas where if the expansion of frozen water
becomes a major issue for sure. Yep. Yes, drain out the water heater tank. Absolutely.
Dang. Free tech help? We're so lucky. Any more questions? Oh, it's been almost exactly 30 minutes.
Cody, where are you camping next?
Cody's like, get me out of here.
No, I'm fine. Where am I camping next? Maybe in Arizona.
No, I think you're going to Houston.
But I don't know if I'm camping in Houston.
Oh, okay. All right.
All right. We will be camping next weekend in Glen Rose, and the temp will be 28 one night. What do we do to make sure all is well? I would bring lots of blankets.
For sure.
As far as your trailer, I don't know, but I'm a blanket snob. I'd bring all the blankets.
Do you have a 4-season camper? Like if it's a 4-season camper or a camper that has any kind of heated tanks and all that, if it's Glen Rose, it's probably not going to be frozen a hard freeze for too long, right? In which case, I don't worry about it too much.
Yeah, I don't worry about it too much. 28, even at 28, unless it's going to be at 28 for a very long time, 28's not a temperature that I usually get concerned about staying in a trailer and using.
In Texas, like if it stayed 28.
Yeah. I mean, if it's like 28, like all day long for a week or, several days or something, then maybe. But an overnight drop it to 28 doesn't really concern me for most units. If you're really concerned about it, obviously your furnace is going to be on. That's going to keep everything inside the camper nice and toasty.
Right. You can open some cabinet doors if you want.
Feel like you need to. A lot of people do like to open cabinet doors to allow that heat into those spaces better. Some people like to drip their faucets. That could be a campground thing. Some campgrounds don't have big enough septic systems to handle everybody dripping faucets all night long.
She has a
So
casita.
it just kind of, okay. I mean, with a casita, yeah, I would just make sure your heater's going. That's a pretty small unit.
They're really
pretty
up.
good with their systems. So yeah, have your heater going. You should be having no problem.
Good question, Margaret.
Have you noticed any issues with the Lippert frame and chassis?
No, not that I'm aware of. Do you have a specific instance maybe that you're talking about?
And here's my thing. Lippert makes frames and chassis for
Everything.
many
They make for everybody.
manufacturers and brands that you have to kind of narrow down to what specific builds you're talking about if you're going to find anything consistent across the board. They make so many types of frames and chassis
They're in
for
everything.
everybody.
Yeah.
What do you recommend for internet?
What a
Internet,
big
that's a big
question.
question, So
My first recommendation is location.
Elon Musk.
Because
Elon Musk.
even if you have the best options that Cody's going to go into, including Starlink, location is going to matter. Now, Starlink
Even
maybe
with
not so
Starlink.
much. You still need a clear view, typically, of the southern sky if you're in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
But go ahead and talk about the other options. I already hammered down on location.
Location is always important, unless you are, I mean, like you said, even with Starlink, because it's going to be satellite based. There's plenty of other options where you can go with some pretty significant cell enhancement type stuff to get in, where you can have multiple providers. So if you're working with Verizon and say you're in an area that's AT&T, you can be dual SIM card and be able to pull in whatever tower. There is SIM-free stuff out there that doesn't require a SIM card and can pick up any provider's signal, and you can hotspot off of that. There are so many products for internet use over the road. So really it depends on your demand. What type of work are you doing? Are you going to need to be able to handle Zoom calls or video, or is it really sending, receiving emails, that kind of stuff?
I'm going to pull up.
Go from there.
I'm going to see if I can remember this couple that we had on our podcast.
Isn't it the Mobile Internet Resource Center?
Yes, Mobile Internet Resource Center, and they stay on top
cool.
of all the latest technologies. Let me see if I can share our screen real quick. How do I share my screen?
You can do it.
Share screen. Right there. Okay. So here it is, the Mobile Internet Resource Center.
Center.
They stay on top of the latest and greatest in internet. We've had them on the podcast. They know their stuff. They're really techie and gearhead people, and they have application scenarios for you to say, this fits how I plan to travel and camp. Please go check them out. Mobile Internet Resource Center. That's the way to go.
Yeah, there's lots of good stuff out there and different levels of it depending on what you need.
All right.
I have a 2012 Tab 320, no bathroom inside kitchen. Where do I fill fluid it needs? The heater is not working.
You're talking about like the Aldi?
So I'm thinking we're talking about the Aldi unit. In a 2012, wow, it's been a long time since I've seen that.
Did they have
Did they
Alda
have
then?
Aldas in 2012?
No, I don't think so.
Man, I have not seen
You
one
stumped
yet. Yeah,
Cody.
you stumped me.
Do you know
if
what
it has
system
an
you have?
Alda unit, if my mind serves me correctly, it's going to be behind the sofa that lays down inside. If you're coming in the door in the very back right hand corner, you kind of have to disassemble some of that cabinet back there to access the reservoir. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. I think that's if it has it. If it's doesn't have an Alda unit, it should just be a standard furnace. So it runs on propane.
Doesn't need fluid.
Nope.
And has their equipment typically, even from way back, been underneath that kind of back driver's side
That's
MC.
where I usually
Yeah,
see it.
typically everything
Way-
is
yeah.
from what I remember, everything has kind of been installed in that area.
So
over the
looking
years.
at the dinette seating on the driver's side of the trailer towards the back, and just kind of see what you see back there.
For sure.
And for that vintage trailer, beyond asking you, there's probably some customer support at New Camp. They could pull up a diagram or something.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, most of the manufacturers have some type of customer support, phone number or email or something like that if you have questions that they can help you with. Because I would have to do the same thing. I haven't seen a 2012 and I can't tell you how long.
Since
I wouldn't-
2012?
It's, well, probably not, but yeah, it would be tough to remember exactly where everything is on every make and model. So.
All right.
Chris, hello, welcome. Thank you for being here. And this typo
I like typos.
is hilarious.
Are Dexter axles better than slippery? Actually meant Lippert
Yeah.
axles.
Slippery.
We had to replace Lippert axle on our R-Pod already due to bent axle. Would a Dexter axle have had less tendency to bend?
To be in all honest on this, no, I don't think so. We've seen issues with Dexter and Lippert kind of across the board with probably what you're talking about. Some of our manufacturers have moved away from some of the torsion axles due to some of the issues that we've had with them. I don't know where it is. It's probably somewhere in the production line and it could be related to COVID supply issues. We have seen a little more axle problems in the last couple of years than we've seen in the past. So, who knows?
All right. I don't know. I have no idea how you'll even
My favorite
try
travel
to answer
trailer.
that.
I don't even know if I have a favorite travel trailer. I got a rooftop tent, so.
Okay, top 3, go.
Oh geez.
Come on,
How
Come
can
on. Come on. Come on.
That's not helping.
Do you want to talk about what you look for in a travel trailer, maybe?
Man, honestly, I'm kind of a dork. I like the techie stuff that some of these overland trailers have in them, honestly. I like the way they look. I like the way they can get off road. Yeah. I like I don't really have a particular brand that I'm like really there with that I would consider my favorite.
Well, here's my deal is I've been to these big shows and you realize in the U.S. market, there's literally 1,000 or more different brands and floor plans.
Yeah.
And makes.
It's crazy.
So we see so many and we can't even fathom.
Yeah.
Really,
for me, what I would do is if I were looking into a trailer, and I've had customers here do the same thing to me. They want to know, like, how is the service support from the manufacturer after the sale? Like, what kind of support are they going to get from the manufacturer? And that's something that I really like. We work with several manufacturers that are just on the spot. They take care of us. We work well together. They respond, and they cover the things that they need to cover. And I find that to be super important.
Yeah. Margaret's favorites are Airstream, Oliver, and Casita. I see a
Good
theme.
choices.
Yep.
Guys, see a theme.
I see a theme.
Okay, so if PJ said you can pick any trailer on our lot right now, but you have to pick it in the next 10 seconds, and you get to have it, then what would it be? 1, 2,
I would take the Vorshear
3.
XOC, honestly.
Would you take the
Vorshear
Vorshear
XOC.
I would.
He would take Thor's hammer on wheels.
See, I forced you into an answer.
But
Would you say it's perfect?
it's not.
No,
It's
of
not
course
perfect.
not.
It's not
Absolutely
perfect.
But
But it's
something
suits
that you-
kind of the type of camping that I'm super interested in.
Right.
So
All right. Co-host Colby says, Christian, I love the 2022 Riverstone 44 MC with the man cave floor plan.
man cave
And
floor plan.
I now have to look
now
that
you're
up.
gonna
Yeah,
have to look that
we're
up.
gonna have to look it up.
I don't know what that is.
That sounds awesome.
A 44 MC sounds like it's probably a really big trailer.
Yeah.
And MC probably stands for man cave.
It's probably very
It's a 44-foot man cave. It's just
Probably
vacuous
a toy
space
hauler.
with a bunch of like places you can plug in equipment.
Can the man cave be converted into a she shed?
Absolutely. Why not?
I think
Most
that's
of
always
that
been the
is
case.
usually just colors, right?
Yeah. Oh,
A 442
44.
MC. Yeah, that's going to be a long trailer.
Ooh, we'll have to look that up.
Okay. Well, Cody, we have pulled you away from your duties here, and that means that you're going to have to work late today. So I'm going to have to let you get started on that.
Find my stapler while you're at it.
Here's my stapler. Make it has a bed that lowers down, and the bathroom lowers down too. Sweet.
Oh no, I'm
man.
stuck.
Everybody, thank you for joining us for this iteration of Friday Live with the RV Small Talk podcast, brought to you from us at Princess Craft RV. We have 2 locations, one in Round Rock, Texas, and one in Houston, Texas. Check us out. Call us for things.
Things.
Talk to Cody.
You're welcome, Susan.
RVSmalltalk.com if
Yeah.
you want to see or hear our episodes on other useful and not useful stuff.
We have both.
We have both.
Okay, everybody. Thank you.